Hello and welcome to our second episode of OverDrive Online. It's good to be here again at Beaumont Park this time.
Yeah,
Malcolm.
somewhere different.
Yeah, very different, yeah. Few things. First thing we're going to look at today, I think, is a Mercedes SLK350, isn't it?
It is. It's quite a nice little convertible, is that?
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely worth a look.
Yeah. And 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. Lovely little car. Not brand new, as you'll see in the video, but
2005, I think.
Still a very good all-rounder, I think, as you'll see now.
Today I've picked up this gorgeous looking Mercedes SLK350. I'm going to take it out and give you my thoughts while driving around the Yorkshire countryside. Under the bonnet, or as the Americans say hood, is this V6 268 brake horsepower spirited 3.5 litre engine with a 0 to 60 time of around 5 seconds.
Oh, she purrs like a kitten. This isn't a kitten though. This is more like a cheetah.
This car's handling is fantastic and it's got great suspension. It's in between comfort and sport.
What a lovely little car this is.
A gorgeous brushed aluminium automatic gear shift with a manual Tiptronic option, controllable from your steering wheel in Formula One fashion. From the steering wheel, you're in total control of your phone, the onboard computer system, the satellite navigation. German manufactured audio-video entertainment system is fantastic. The Germans don't make anything that isn't good. Just looking at this car, with its long nose and its short back, it doesn't sit up and beg, it's just quite sleek and definitely elegant. If you took this car to the racetrack, it would stand out as a thoroughbred stallion. I was nicely surprised with the space in the boot and that extra touch of the protective cover so it doesn't hurt the roof when you put it down, which I'm about to do now.
Seems to work fine by himself, fine so far. It's a three-way folding roof. Let's look back. Top and it all comes up to me. How long did that take? 20 seconds.
Driving this Mercedes 350, I enjoyed its performance, its prestige, and its permission to really enjoy its elegance and comfortableness. Is it a car for a man or a woman? It's both. This car, when you get used to it, is full of style and quality. It's a Mercedes.
Right, so the SLK. Lovely little two-seater. It's actually surprisingly comfortable inside, because I was sat inside it filming a couple of bits and pieces while Toby was driving it.
Right, yeah.
It's surprisingly comfortable, especially for the size of the cabin. It's certainly bigger than the old SLK, where you had the SLK.
Yeah, bigger, yeah. Also, moving on from that then, you will see a video about the Focus ST.
Yep. So
ST3 model, actually.
It was the ST, yes.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
How do I know that? Because I was actually the owner of the vehicle.
So we'll now have a look at the Ford Focus ST3.
Okay.
I look at the Ford Focus ST, the hot hatch that Ford hopes will rule the motoring world. Instead of the 5-cylinder Volvo engine from the previous ST, Ford have fitted a slightly smaller 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine. However, fast Ford fans needn't worry. as this engine is more powerful at 250 brake horsepower. To cope with this power, the suspension and steering are a lot tighter. The turbocharged engine will get you from 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds. That's slightly slower than a 3.5 litre V6 Mercedes SLK. But unlike the SLK, there's plenty of room in the back and in the front with electric adjustable seats, plus the light-up kick plate enhances the already great interior. Instruments are well placed and the trip computer sits nicely between the dials when driving. Plenty of boot space as well. What more would you need? Since the launch of the original Focus, there's been some variations on the theme. However, this version brings the design right up to date. Even so, it still captures the excitement of the old Ford hot hatches like the XR3i, and it brings out the boy racer in you. But things have moved on with new technologies that older cars just couldn't have. We now have sat-nav, headlights that point in the direction that you're steering, and the engines have improved no end. And the look, the way it looks is just stunning. Well, the only thing I can actually find wrong with this car is it's not mine. So that was the ST3, and we're now going to go on to the news. So, first thing up, this.
Yes, a car really caught my eye instantly as this. It's the new Kia Stinger GT, isn't it?
It is. It's the new Kia Stinger GT. It's about time Kia actually got a sports car in their range, because they haven't really done anything in that sort of area. And they've been quite a good manufacturer for over 10 years now.
Steady, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they offer 7-year warranties and things like that. So it's about time they actually put something a bit more powerful into the range.
I think this is a gorgeous car. I really do. And we're talking 252 brake horsepower from this?
That's,
of the 2 litre 4-cylinder?
That's a 2 litre 4-cylinder. Up to 365 brake from 3.3 litre twin-turbo V6.
And odd-sounding engine, a 3.3 litre, but really sounds good.
Yeah.
I bet that's got some nice grunt, that car.
Yeah, rear-wheel drive is standard with all-wheel drive optional.
Yeah.
Yep.
Looking at prices from early 2018, about 30 grand?
Yeah.
Would you say that would be for the...
that'd be the base model.
The base model
yeah.
one?
And then you'd be paying extra for the bigger engines and the all-wheel drive, and also things like the limited slip differential as well, as on the 8-speed gearbox. That's not a bad thing to have.
Saying a good 7-year warranty with a car like that, with them looks, for a Kia,
yeah,
I'd happily pay
a
38 plus, I think, for the 3.3 litre, if that's how it turned out to be. I would.
I'd say that getting up to about 40.
Yeah.
Especially with 8-speed gearbox. Out early next year, 2018, as we're actually recording this, and starting at around £30,000. But there's one thing that stands out to me. If you look at the back, the styling.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen that somewhere before.
Do you know, the more I look at it, I may be wrong here, but is it anchoring towards a sort of Italian styling?
Nope.
I'm wrong.
It's a Rover RD60 before it became the RDX60.
Oh my God, it is.
So yeah, it's the Rover prototype.
That was a concept, wasn't it?
No, that was going to be the actual design.
That was going to be the actual
RD60.
vehicle?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they actually had a mock-up built of that.
What has Kia got here?
Yeah.
Do you know they have really changed from a simple thing that they were doing before? Simple things like that Sportage, which was basically just a square. And then, yes, they improved it.
Yeah, definitely. And you can get that in front wheel or all-wheel drive.
When I saw that changing, I knew there were going to be something like this on the cards, but they've kept this well under wraps, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. And it looks Stunning. On to
Very
the next
nice.
one.
Yeah, it says Ferrari Portofino, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the replacement for the baby Ferrari, the California T.
Right, yes.
592 brake horsepower.
Yeah, we're going a little bit more now. We have
Yeah.
592 brake horsepower, but again, obviously, we're stepping up the guns, aren't we?
Yeah,
Ferrari.
it's a development of the actual V8 that was in the California T. The EDIF differentials in there as well.
Right, yes.
From the higher end Ferraris and the higher end GTs. Also,
I'm noticing in our notes of a price of 150 grand.
yeah.
Well, we're talking Ferrari money again, aren't we? But for a baby one, I don't think that's bad.
This isn't bad at all. Top speed of 199 miles per hour.
Wow.
So,
Well, I'd settle for that.
yeah. So side view with the top down.
Yeah, I have sometimes some issues on convertibles,
Such as.
especially soft top ones with vinyl roofs. I'd be very worried. I'd be concerned, is someone going to knife it? And especially a car like that.
Well,
Give me a hard top convertible. I'll be a bit more.
good news.
Thank you.
It is a hard top.
It is a hard top. Nice one. Because actually, that is a Ferrari for once that looks good with a top up and the top down,
Yeah.
which is a hard thing to achieve.
I mean, the 488 that we see next is similar. That is a nice car. But as a base entry-level Ferrari, that's as good as you're going to get. It's actually slightly bigger than the California T and slightly heavier.
Right.
But the engine, 40 brake horsepower more,
Yeah.
a couple of mile an hour more. I think it's 5 mile an hour more at top speed. It's not a bad car. It really isn't a bad car.
No, it's certainly, looking at them curves and lines, I think most people would agree that is screaming as an Italian supercar.
Yeah.
It certainly is. I mean, it's really hankering back to some of the older styles, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
It's kind of got the Testarossa line to it. The old Testarossa.
It has got that going on. Now I look at it, it has. And it is one of them cars, I look at it more and more. You fall in love with it every day, that car.
Yeah.
You.
Now, any idea what this is?
No, well, obviously we've got a Merc here, but this is surprising me. It looks a very strange Merc.
This is the EQA.
Now, is this some sort of hybrid?
Not a hybrid, it's all electric. So
Right.
Mercedes have got an all-electric range which they're going to launch between 2020 and 2025.
Okay.
And there's the EQC, which is effectively the C-Class car,
Right.
which will be available around about 2020. And then this one is the EQA, or this is the concept they're going to show of the EQA
concept, right.
at the Frankfurt Motor Show, which, as we're recording this, is next week.
Okay.
So that's what they're going to be showing at Frankfurt.
It's looking a very, just in them subtle shots like that, a very dark, dark is a bit of a pun, but a sort of dark, menacing sort of car.
It's the SUV.
SUV, right.
There is an EQS due as well, and I believe there's an EQB as well.
Okay.
Good
to see
no
that,
idea
actually.
of prices at the moment. Not sure on the actual release date. It will be at some point between 2020 and 2025.
So not actually that far away, really.
Not really.
Not for production for a car, no.
No, not from concept to production.
No, it isn't really. No.
You're gonna like this one.
So what have we got next then?
If I say ATS, do you think of that?
I certainly do not think of that.
ATS were a supercar manufacturer in the 1960s. It was a group of designers who split from Ferrari back in 1963. Produced the first car, then in 67 they stopped. So literally 50 years after they stopped, they've announced this one.
That is a gorgeous looking car, and why am I seeing areas of like the Noble?
Yeah, well, I see areas of Flash Gordon.
Right.
Here, that on this rear valance there.
I do, yeah.
It looks like the sort of thing that have the gloves in the black and
Oh, of
white
course.
flash on. And if you look at the way it comes up as well, it's almost like it's folded over the wing.
I must admit,
it's very retro, but retro sci-fi, but quite fitting as well. So I'm not.
it is
sure.
hankering back
Yeah,
to an old 60s sci-fi movie, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's inspired by the 500 GTS, which was their last car.
Right.
Usually, when you think of ATS, what do you usually think of? Tyres.
You do. You do. I can see them all dancing around doing a commercial for tyres. Yeah, it's a funny thing, that, but I'd love to see that on the roads. I'd love to actually hear a car like that, because I bet something like that would sound awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Information we've got so far: 12 launch edition cars. Not sure how many cars are going to be made after that.
Right.
They announced that mid-mounted twin-turbo V8 at 650 horsepower.
We're going to be looking at a very limited vehicle, aren't we?
Yeah. There's also an option to build at 700 brake horsepower as well.
Oh, now then.
700.
And it's an option.
It's an option, yeah.
It's an option. If I could afford, I would take.
Here's what gets me. The doors.
Oh, now then.
Similar to the BMW
i8.
i8, yeah.
Yeah.
Except that the i8 was hinged on the A-pillars, and these are actually hinged below the A-pillars.
Do you know one thing I like about doors like this? I do remember at Lamborghinis how they go sort of that away, but you have to be careful if you're close to any curbs.
Yeah.
As they go that way, they'd hit. At least they go out of the way.
That kind of doesn't, because the doors are actually right down to the sill. So if you
So would we come against the same problems still?
Yeah.
Oh, there.
You wouldn't in the i8, but you would with that. But there's also another problem as well, which the i8 will suffer from.
Which is...
You park up in Sainsbury's,
Oh, yes.
and you can't get out.
Now, I'm sure everyone would agree you'd look a bit of a fool in a car like that, drawing attention to yourself, and you can't get out of it. Screaming kids all around it with a phone trying to take pictures, and come on, start, I want to sit. And you can't get out. I'm just trying to get out, I only want to get shopping. At the end of the day, it's a gorgeous car.
Yeah.
But I am seeing a bit of a noble to that.
Yeah, it's very similar designs. One of the designers, I think, may have come from Noble through Fiat.
You can see a slight connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's possible they are linked in some way.
But not for a bad reason, actually for a good reason there.
Now, there's something I've added onto this which isn't on the sheets.
Oh, right, so I get a little bit of a bonus here.
Remember we were talking earlier? As we were coming up in the car. There it is. The new Nissan Leaf.
Wow.
200. Now, here's the thing. Depending on where you buy it, depends on how many miles it will be quoted as being able to do. If you buy it in Europe, they say it will do 235 miles. Okay. If you buy it in Japan, they will say it can do 258 miles.
Right.
If you buy it in America, they say it will do 150 miles.
Some totally different figures there, and I can't get my head around why.
But you do wonder what the testing is, but each region has its own testing and seems to come up with its own results. And the American one is the least at about 150 miles.
Yeah.
Having said that, its capacity, internal capacity is bigger. The styling's quite nice towards the end, and the front's actually quite nice. You could actually put a BMW grille on that and sell it as the new i3.
And another thing, obviously, Nissan, Honda,
yeah,
you know they're all coming from Japan, things like that. But one thing I've noticed, if you want to say it was a Nissan, and you'd have hidden anything that gave away as it being a Nissan, looking at that grille, I would have said that was a new type of Honda, or something like that. Something that had come from Honda, basically.
Well, here's another view of it. The price is roughly, as it's translated direct from the Japanese price, £22,500.
Do you think that's going up a bit steep when you think of what the old Micras of old was? I know there wasn't much to them.
Yeah.
And the Leafs.
But
they're all the
Leaf
same sort of category
expensive.
cars.
That sort of started around about 18, didn't it, when it first came out? You can get an option of a further capacity and a higher grade battery. But you've got to think, for 26,500, just short of 26, just over 26,500, you could buy a Tesla Model 3.
Yeah. Now there's a toughie because
And also, when you actually look at the top electric cars that are currently available for capacity and things like that, the Leaf is actually second from the bottom. So Citroen's car is higher capacity, around the same price. The Renault Zoe is third in the list.
Could you live with a name with a car like that?
My daughter's called Zoe.
But a car called Zoe?
Yeah. Okay.
Just like, what's the other Renault one? Wind?
Yeah. Oh God, what a bad name for a car.
We're straying into dangerous territory there, but yeah, I think Nissan got it also right with the name as well, Leaf.
Yeah.
I think they did. They have put thought into the car, you know that much.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of upgraded options. It's a lot more efficient. It's basically the
I
best.
suppose, yes, for your money, then you are getting a good deal, really, when you break it down.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
And
it's a bigger car as well.
Styling-wise, you cannot knock that.
No.
It's like I said, I refer back to the old Nissan Micras and other cars that Nissan had done. And honestly, who's come along? Because, as you know from other videos we've done in the past, one of my favourites is a Nissan GTR. But how can Nissan create a car like that, but all the others are so boring, I'd say?
Yeah, yeah.
And now, look, they're up in the game.
Yeah.
They're bringing all things into line again.
Yeah.
And they started it with something like that.
Yeah. I mean, the Leaf did look too much like a Micra to me.
It did, and that's what worried me.
Yeah.
I think had they put all the concentration into what it were capable of and thrown styling out the window. Whereas
this is quite styled. I'd actually say that was a lot better than the i3 in terms of style, or the current i3 in terms of styling. I mean, we have got a new i3 coming up, which may be previewed at Frankfurt. I don't know yet. But certainly, you know, if you'd have put a BMW grille on the front,
you could get away with a lot of car manufacturers for that. You could. I won't say it's pinched styling from styling steak from lots of other vehicles. It hasn't. They have gone their own unique way, but they've just upped the game there.
Yeah,
they really have. Yeah.
So that was the news. I'm now going to have a look at the Ferrari 488 Spider with a 25 mile per gallon combined fuel economy.
Oh dear, what a drop! But is it worth it? I suppose for
201.9 miles per hour.
Yeah, I think it's worth it, isn't it? Yeah. And 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. You can get between fuel stops easily in that, I think.
Yeah, get between fuel stations easily in that.
Yeah.
Built a freewheel.
I would, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, now we have the Ferrari 488 Spider. Here we have two very desirable cars. The Nissan 370Z Nismo, which is immensely practical and powerful, and next to it, the Porsche 911 Targa 4. Not quite as practical, but still very desirable. But these both pale into insignificance compared to this. The Ferrari 488 Spider. Released at the 2015 Geneva Motor Show, the replacement for the 458 improved on the twin-turbo V8 with more horsepower and improved the handling with an all-new chassis with new construction techniques. But it was the release of the 488 Spider at the 2015 Frankfurt show that really caught attention. The car looks just as stunning on the road as it does at the shows, and the ride is quite comfortable, which is unusual for a supercar which can be quite harsh. However, the new chassis does improve things in terms of ride quality, and the suspension is tuned to perfection. It's just as eager to go on a country road as it is on a main road or a motorway or a track. And let's face it, wherever you go, you're going to get some attention. But when you're out on an open road, that V8 engine will certainly show its worth. With comfort, style and looks that very few cars can even come close to matching, This then is a real classic in the making, and is a worthy successor to the 548 it replaced. The continued development of the twin-turbo V8 from the 548 has also improved the actual horsepower output at 661 horsepower. The car though is only available with an automatic manual flappy paddle gearbox, which has a dual clutch 7-speed F1 system in it. The interior of the car has most of the controls and the integrated gearshift light-up system all on the steering wheel. The cabin itself is quite spacious and comfortable, so it's not one of these cramped cars that you sometimes find. Despite the Spider needing somewhere to stow away its roof, the engine size and location is exactly the same as the 488 GTB, so there are no compromises in engine capacity or handling. The airflow over the car helps push it down onto the road, while the brakes are actually developed from those on the Ferrari, with a slightly different material composite so that it gets up to braking temperature quickly. The lines also are quite familiar. They seem very reminiscent of the older Ferraris. This is a very desirable car whether you buy the GTB hardtop or the Spider. And the handling is just superb. Regardless of whether you're going fast through tight corners or whether you're driving through the local town, the car handles impeccably. And the power's always there when you need it. After all, it is a Ferrari.
That was a really good one, that was a 488, and now we're on to a little bit of a twist in this video. A little one from Ford again, the Ford EcoSport, a little compact SUV. Question being, do we really need something like that when Ford already have the Ford Cougar and the now very latest Ford Edge? Begs the question, do we need a vehicle like this in their fleet? So as we'll see from the video, make your own minds up, but I have a soft spot for it. Hello, and today I'm going to take a look at this Ford EcoSport, or EcoSport as Ford call it. I'm going to take it on the Yorkshire Moors for a quick drive, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on this vehicle to tell you if I really like it or not. First impressions about this Ford EcoSport. Again, the outside, it's not too bad actually for a small little compact SUV. It's not trying to be anything special. It can't compete obviously with its bigger brother, the Ford Cougar, and now the even bigger Ford Edge, which Ford are raving about. So a little thing like this, well, you may ask why do you need it, but I think it fits in nicely with Ford's fleet. Basically we've got a Ford Fiesta underpinnings, and they've got this body of this Ford EcoSport. You're not getting a bad deal by having a Ford Fiesta. It handles well. I actually thought there'd be a lot of body roll in this, being a lot higher, but it does surprise me how it handles. Top speed of this vehicle, you're getting about 117 miles an hour, which is pretty good for something like this. This is the titanium one, which obviously gets rear privacy glass and little touches of half leather on the seats and stuff, and Ford have really tried their best to tart it up. Driving it on roads like this, it's fairly quiet actually. I'm not getting a lot of wind noise, and it is fairly comfortable. I could take this on a long journey and be quite pleased with it. It's never going to be a car designed for handling heroics, never. But I am surprised. I mean, when we think back what Ford did make a fair while back, the Ford Fusion, which was a very big disappointment. This car is everything that should have been. And when you think, like I say, about the Ford Edge now and the Cougar, do we need it? But a lot of people won't want a massive SUV sort of thing. They want something a bit compact, which this really is. Yeah, the inside is dated now, and there is going to be a facelift model in the back end of next year, which which will get a much nicer interior. And you are seeing the old bits now. You've got the Nokia style buttons for the radio and things. You don't get a sat-nav. The display is very small. You have got 2 features of automatic headlights, auto-sensing wipers, climate control, even a cruise control with this, funnily enough. Don't see why, but it's there. And it is a comfortable car. One thing about the back door opens the wrong way, because this was a car which was never going to come to the UK, actually. It was mainly for South American areas, things like that, and we was never going to have it here. So they changed things over, obviously, for the right-hand drive here. But they saw it in the wisdom not to bother with the rear door, so it does open to the left. Obviously the display, it's nice and clear. It's all very Ford Fiesta style, hence it comes from the Fiesta. And if you've owned the Fiesta or driven one, you really will feel at home in this car. You don't get the feeling that you're a bit higher up. You really don't. But because of the 1 litre EcoBoost engine, 3-cylinder engine, and it can shift a little bit. I am surprised when you change gear, put your foot down a bit. You even hear a little turbo whistle if you've got the window down and it's not so noisy outside. Miles to gallon. They claim 53 miles to gallon as an average, but it's not bad. Now, obviously the Ford EcoBoost engine is good. Funnily enough, it's only the size of a sheet of A4 paper. It is that sort of size, which I'm very surprised at. You open the engine bay up and there's not a great deal to look at all. There really isn't. Little things, again, that bug me. Apart from the door, which I would get used to, this armrest, which it isn't much of an armrest and gets in the way of the handbrake, but there's other little things that bug me. It is nitpicking again, but the keyless entry is a bit lame. It does sound a bit tinny when you're locking and unlocking the car. But it's never going to be a world beater, this car. It's not meant to be at all. It's just supposed to be a practical runaround. But it's a cheap and cheerful car. When I say cheap and cheerful, put together in India, Ford have done the best to brighten things up a bit and add their little touches with like the gear stick here and things like that. But you still know it's got that slight tinny feel about it. The seats are comfortable. The boot space is never going to be anything to write home about. It's decent for your average sort of bags of shopping and things like that, but you're never going to be stuffing loads of stuff in. It's a gutsy little thing. And if I was getting one of these, I actually would advise to get the 1 litre EcoBoost one. Purely because the diesel, well, is not that good. It is tired. It is sluggish. And there is an automatic which comes with a 1.2, I think, litre engine, which, to be fair, I really wouldn't have. Because for one thing, I wouldn't have an automatic. But, saying that, it is a nice drive once you sort of get used to it. But you are getting the dated interior of the old Ford Fiesta. It's hard to believe that they created the Ford Fusion, and which was such a disappointment, and it's this. It is like a baby Cougar, but that's where it ends. I am a Ford man, but if I was given one of these, I'd defend it to the hill. But I wouldn't own one with hard-earned cash and love it. I just couldn't. It's too basic, but yet too glitzy at the front, and I can't live with that. I think I'd save me money, earn a bit more, and get a Cougar. But that's me. But if I were given one I'd live with, I would, all day long. In a way, I've got a soft spot for it.
So that was the EcoSport.
Yeah, surprising vehicle there. It's a make what you want of a vehicle like that. So I think that sort of wraps up today's episode, doesn't it?
It does. So join us next time when we see you on OverDrive.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
Bye.
And I do have a soft spot for it. So yeah, I don't know. Put me that's why I just started rambling.
As you can see, the Formula 1 car behind us.
Yes, we'll be reviewing that in the coming video.